Hey everyone, it's Clara and I'm going to do another review of one of my escape room board games. This is going to be a spoiler-free review, so no spoilers, but I will say that some of the things I talk about are a little bit obscure maybe, because I don't want to spoil it. I will say that I'm going to do a spoiler version as well, where I specifically talk about particular puzzles, because someone said that that might be interesting, so I'm going to do that. And the game today is actually Escape Tales Low Memory. So this is the second in the series of the Escape Tales. I played the first one, The Awakening, about 2.5 years ago. Really enjoyed it. And for those that know me, I really enjoy the exit games. I don't like the unlock games. Think that the Deckscape ones are fine. This is Escape Tales Low Memory. You play it once, but I'm just going to drop the box real quick, but what I will say is that you don't destroy the components, so you can sell it on or give it to other people to play. Also on the box it says 3 times 3 hours. This one doesn't have a time limit, so there's 3 different scenarios in it. You just play it at your own pace, which means that you can get as long as you want out of it. So I'm going to say I didn't play it with my normal board game partner because the way things are. And we just made the most of it. We just enjoyed it. There was points where maybe if we'd have been short on time we would have got hints earlier, but we didn't need to. We could just look at the puzzles. I will say it's on the more difficult end of the puzzle spectrum, but let's get into the review, shall we? Let's do it. Yes, so the basic thing is, like I say, it's hard. It's hard. The puzzles become gradually harder. There's 3 different cases in here, 3 different sort of chapters. They're actually separate stories, but they come together at the end. So, and you'll understand how, when you play it through. And you do influence the story. So, depending on your choices, depending on what you do throughout the scenario, you will have different outcomes. You'll have different conclusions to the overarching story, which is kind of cool, and even to the sub stories. And it's got this story going through. I saw some reviews online that people didn't really like it, but I enjoyed it actually. I thought it was kind of unusual. It was sort of Black Mirror-y. If anyone's watched the series Black Mirror, you play through this and you're like, oh yeah, it's sort of got that kind of vibe to it. So yeah, like I say, it doesn't destroy, and so this is about 50% more expensive than say an exit game, but it doesn't get destroyed, so you can sort of sell it on. And also on the side it says 3 times 3 hours. Like I say, we spent ages on them because we weren't in any rush. We wanted to try and figure out the puzzles. And that meant, sort of not taking hints. Not that you get judged on how long you take at all. So with, the other escape room type games, they'll say if you've taken this many hints, you get this point. If you've taken this many hints, you get this. With this one, no. It's just like you do it and you get the outcome. So it's how you play it rather than how fast you play it. So that was really cool. And I will say that I just really enjoyed it. So it was fun. So in terms of the puzzles, these are definitely harder puzzles. I find that the escape rooms, the exit games, I tend to find that they're sort of medium to hard, but generally I can get them. But the unlock games I think are pretty easy, and the Deckscape I thought were pretty easy. This is the harder level. This is the higher end puzzles. These are complex puzzles, and it gets quite mathy. And I think that my experience, because the person that I was playing it with had similar skills to me, and normally the person I play this type of thing with has different skills to me, I think that would have made quite a difference. Like I say, we were playing it without time. We were just, chilling. I mean, we'd have dinner and, playing over dinner and stuff like that. So we weren't in any rush to play it. And milked it, to be perfectly honest. So definitely got money's worth in terms of time. In terms of puzzles, so in the first case, I think I got all of them worked out. But there was one where I had to get hints, and both of those hints actually were really helpful because I solved it with those hints, basically. One of them was really important piece of information because I was looking at it one way and it was like, don't, basically. There was another puzzle where... So I ended up bruting it, basically. I went through the 3 hints that it had for that one, but they were all things that I'd already worked out. I just couldn't get to the final puzzle. And the hint didn't help me, it just told me what I already knew. And I ended up bruting the thing where it's like, I realised that I tried sort of most of the combinations, so there was only like a couple that I hadn't, and I tried one and I got the answer, which isn't how you want. That's not solving a puzzle, that's just bruting it, right? So that was a bit disappointing. And I actually went and looked, and other people had questions about that, and even once you had the answer, it was a case of like, it was one of those sort of abstract. When I talk about the escape puzzles, the jigsaw ones, and I say that like you just happen to realize that this is here, this is here, this is here, and you add them in this particular way, and it makes, and there's no clues to that. It's just like you either have these, you know, you pick up the sort of different things, and maybe you'll put them together, or maybe you won't. But there's no hints, there's no clues, and the hint system didn't help me at all on that one. So that was really, really annoying. And to be honest, I wonder whether... So there was quite a few sort of sentences that just didn't make sense. There was a few typos, whatever. I'm assuming it's been translated, because I think that if there'd have been a native speaker, they would have been like, I don't know what this means. Whereas it might have made sense in another language, but a direct translation in that regard didn't make sense. So there's that. In the 3rd mission, there was one. So it says in the rule book that you don't have to solve all the puzzles. But there was one point where, depending on which way you went, you ended up with one puzzle or a different puzzle. And in that point, there was no turning back, which meant that you did have to solve that puzzle, which, you know, from my understanding was that you don't have to solve all of these. Actually, I think that's not true. I think that there was an awful lot that you did have to solve. It's not quite as open world as it sort of suggests. And there was this one puzzle that basically I ended up having to solve it, and I couldn't. And the point was that you didn't know that you were locked in. You didn't know that you were stuck with that puzzle. And I wouldn't mind. It was actually not the room that I'd intended to go into. I went one way instead of... I put the wrong code in. It was one where, depending on which code you put in, determined your path. And I didn't realise I'd put in the other one. I'm like, oh, hang on, that's the wrong card. Oh, I went the wrong way. Now, it's not the wrong way. It just wasn't the way I'd intended. And then the puzzle, I just couldn't get the puzzle. So I looked at the hints, and the hints only told me what I already knew. Again, sometimes the hints in this game helped, and sometimes they just really didn't. And this was the second one that I came across where the hints just didn't help in any way, shape, or form. And it was a really mathy solution, and I got to these numbers a couple of times, and so did the person I was playing it with. So I had the right numbers, and it was a mathy solution. I didn't think that they'd be in the wrong order, which they were. I didn't consider that. And I think when you've already got quite a difficult puzzle, I don't think you needed to have that puzzle on top of a puzzle, if that makes sense. I just assumed I had the wrong numbers. Now, as it happens, I said that you could go one way or the other. You can't undo your choice in the app. Oh, and I should point out, you need an app to play this game because it gives you the answers and tells you which paragraphs to go to. But you can't undo it, but you can open it up on another console. You know, I opened it up on my PC and actually decided to sort of backtrack and go the other way. And actually the puzzles in that route I just got really quickly and really easily. So on one side, hours and hours, couldn't get it. Went the other way, just went breezed through pretty much. So that's a little bit annoying, in my opinion. But I guess that's why you need, you know, a few people and different people with different skills, right? I was glad that I didn't play this one through alone. Glad that I played with someone else. The final solution, I mentioned translation. The final solution, I think that it needed to be a lot clearer with, because I realised what it was doing, and I realised the different paths that you can take, and that this is what determines your outcome. It's the choice you make at the end. And I figured out different paths, different solutions. But then what it was asking you was, it made it sound to me like I shouldn't choose a certain path, which actually, when I read through afterwards, it was the best solution. That was really annoying, and I think that, again, it was a case of, had someone, a native English speaker, and again, I'm presuming that it was translated, right? I'm presuming. But if someone had read it through, been like, that's not clear. What is it you want to get from this paragraph? Is it this or is it this? It could have just done with that sort of final editing or proofreading or whatever. So like I say, it's a very difficult puzzler game. It's very mathy, and I love it. I love that. Now, is this perfect? No, there's a couple of things that I've said that I didn't think were perfect. There's things where I think it could have been slightly improved, just little tweaks here and there. But generally, I can't wait to play the next one. I'm going to get the next one. I know that I'm going to get my money's worth. You know, it says 3 times 3 hours. And, you know, if you just take your time and you're not in any rush, you can easily get, you know, 10, 12, 13 hours out of it, I think. Of course, if you solve the puzzles quick or you get all the hints, you'll get there sooner. So worth the money, and it's only sort of 50% more expensive than an exit game, and way more time you'll put into this. It's not destroyed, so you can sell it on or give it to other people, and just really good fun. Like I say, it's not perfect, but I really enjoyed it. I will play the next one, but I don't think I'll play it solo. I was considering getting the next one and playing it solo, but I just think that I'd be worth waiting until I'm with the right person. And the story, like I say, people have called the story, said that they weren't involved. I thought it was kind of fun. I mean, you know, it was more interesting than other games. Definitely more story driven than an exit or an unlock. So, yeah, that's Escape Tales, Low Memory. Fantastic. Right, and if you like that, please, you know, like, subscribe, thumbs up, and all that. And if you do play it through, or you have played it through, and you want to see the spoilers, go and watch the spoiler review. Till next time, bye.